First thing you will notice is the Jameson name. John Jameson is the name of our founder. And you see this right under the name, and as you can see on the screen, this is our family crest. And this writing, Sine Metu, it's a Latin phrase which means without fear. This phrase has defined John Jameson's life and has also defined our whiskey. Ever since the first time John decided to triple distill our whiskey and putting a taste at the heart of everything that we do. Now let's get into our story. Are we all ready?
Yes.
Thank you. There are many characters in the Jameson story, but there's only one founding father. And it all started when John Jameson set up shop in Smithfield, in the heart of Dublin, in the year 1780. Dublin was in the midst of a boom, and its population was growing dramatically. It was the second largest city in Britain and Ireland. And during this period, there were well over 100 breweries and distilleries throughout Dublin. But many of them stayed away through us. And those who might have guessed it at the time, Dublin has been an institution that will remain on the north side of the city for more than 200 years later. And that's John Jameson's Distillery on Bow Street. That's John Jameson and his beautiful wife, Margaret. The two people who share the same taste for adventure. With a bit of innovation and hard work, the distillery grew, and so did their family. And together they have 16 children. Talk about mass production. 16. In time, one of their sons, John Jameson II, took over as master distillers, and the distillery continued to grow. He built upon the legacy his father has entrusted on him. Constant innovation, hard work, and unmatched quality. By 1820, the distillery looks like this. Between 1880 and 1905, the distillery was running on all cylinders, or positive as we call them. By John Jameson's name is on the label, ownership of the whiskey's legacy is shared. If you take a look at any bottle of Jameson, especially this one at the bottom, you will see a barrel man, as I also see it on the screen. This man carrying the barrel on his back represents our hard workers, past and present, who have built our whiskey from the ground up. And when we get down to it, our stories are being told by the barrel men. Now, Bow Street was like a city within Dublin. It was a bustling place full of highly trained craftspeople. It was so self-sufficient that the payroll record in our archive lists carpenters, blacksmiths, millwrights, painters, hustlers, and the rest. They all took great pride in their job. John Jameson and Son has a reputation of being a good employer. Once you are hired, an employee generally has a job for life. As we speak, our Bow Street Distillery employed 300 people and supported hundreds of families throughout Dublin. And by the late 1880s, that's roughly 100 years after we are established, we are producing 1 million gallons of whiskey, and that's roughly 6.5 million bottles every single year. Now, I want you guys to pay attention to all these artifacts hanging around, and as well as this ones. Every single one of them tells their own little story. But today we are going to talk about this mister. We call it the teapot. As I mentioned at the beginning of our time, one of the advantages of working at the Jameson Distillery was the daily ration of grog, a glass of whiskey given to workers at the end of their shift. But if you are doing what we call a dirty job, you are entitled to an extra glass. While cleaning the chimney or packing charcoal might be messy and dirty, there's an extra reward for it. And enterprising staff seeking extra grog will roll themselves in dust before presenting themselves to the foreman, claiming they had a dirty job. Others enjoy a cup of tea. One of the first food taught to a new member of staff was never to light the gas flame under the teapot in the tea room. Because management knew whiskey was being hidden there, but they could never find it. And this innocent looking teapot will be filled each morning with fresh made whiskey. And employees will pop in during the day to enjoy a refreshing cup of tea. Now, as we do at our Bow Street Distillery, You also get your daily grub today, but you won't have to sneak it from this spot or roll yourself in dust before you get it. John Jameson and Sons was shipping our great Irish whiskey all over the world. More and more people are enjoying Jameson triple distilled smoothness and uncomparable taste. Sadly, time and history in form of political and military turmoil intervened. War broke out around the world, not once, but twice. There was conflict within Ireland itself. Because of the distillery's prime location, it was used as a fortress during the 1916 rising in Ireland. And despite these tough times, Jameson generosity prevailed. Due to the imposition of martial law, no workers could gain entry into the distillery for 2 weeks. But the emergency book in our company archive shows that every single person received their full wages, even during the shutdown. And just things were starting to pick up again. Jameson's progress was interrupted by the restrictive trade tariff imposed by Britain and the effect of the prohibition in the United States, where American bootleggers are naming their moonshine Irish whiskey so that they could charge more money for it. The damage of our good name and loss of momentum, it all seems irreversible. So by the 1960s, the Irish whiskey industry approached rock bottom. Now, drawing upon the spirit of John Jameson and his example of innovative thinking, the guardians of the whiskey bearing his name decided it's time to sink or swim. Other Irish distillers came to the same conclusion. So in 1966, after centuries of rivalry, Jameson joined forces with John Power and Sons and the Cork Distillery Company, and together the three merged and formed the Irish Distillers Group. And while the spirit of Jameson lives on in Dublin, where John Jameson perfected the art of whiskey making, the heart now lives in Middleton, in the south of Ireland, where our whiskey is distilled and matured to satisfy a growing global demand. Our Middleton distillery is the perfect place to make the highest quality tasting Irish whiskey, and our heritage of hard work and innovation continues. While our whiskey is steeped in craft and tradition, our whiskey masters in Middleton are exploring new ingredients and techniques that reflect the expanded taste of today's whiskey drinkers, like you and I. Jameson has always been a people's story. It's about our barrier men, our makers, and our whiskey masters who are dedicated to living up to our 244 years of heritage. And it's about all of us who enjoy the smooth flavors of Jameson's exceptional Irish whiskey. We are all barrier men. That Jameson begins our story on those streets. It is not left to us to continue it today. And it all comes down to taste. You may want to ask why. You have a sip of Jameson, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Now this is the end of our story. It is now left. What's remaining now is for us to dive into the process, which we'll get to interact with what we are saying in front of you, and we'll learn more about the science behind the world's #1 Irish whiskey. Are we ready for that? Preparing our quality ingredients. The best thing about County Cork, where our Middleton distillery is located, is that it has two essential ingredients you need to make a great whiskey. First, you need pure clean water. The word whiskey is derived from the Irish phrase Ishkabah, which means water of life. And the Dundee River that flows through our Middleton distillery is the essence of our whiskey making operation. The second key ingredient that we need is barley. And we use barley that are generally grown within 100 miles of our Middleton distillery. We also use premium non-GMO corn or maize that we ship in from France because Ireland doesn't have enough sunshine to grow their own maize. Now, as you know, our whiskey is made for drinking. We will appreciate if you don't eat any of the barley today, but you are free to feel them and smell them. Jameson is one of the few whiskies in the world that is produced using two types of barley. And the first is the unmalted barley. The unmalted barley is the barley that comes straight from the field and goes straight into production. It's still intact with its husk, which is very, very hard. And the use of a malted barley imparts a creamy mouth-coating texture and as well as subtle hint of spice to our whiskey. The second type of barley that we use is the malted barley. Malted barley is made in the malt house, where we soak the barley in water and leave in a warm and humid condition for about 5 days until germination occurs. We treat the barley to believing in springtime, so it releases the sugars and enzymes that we need for fermentation. We then use little heat to dry it. We dry the barley from germinating, leaving the sugar ready for us to use. That's what we call malt, a dried germinating barley. When we make whiskey at our roasting distillery, we make use of traditional malting house, using malting tiles that looks like this. Now, on your station, you will see the malted barley and the malted barley there. I want you guys to pick up your malted barley first. Just pick one. Feel it in your hand. You see that it's very hard. And if you smell the barley, I don't think you can pick up the smell from a single grain. You can just bend down and smell the whole pack itself. Just bend down and smell this. You can pick up the grassy aroma. It's very grassy. That's because it comes straight from the field and then production straight. Doesn't go through any process. Now the malted barley, on the other hand, that one is more softer, has a more softer texture. Now let the liquid works, because the liquid works, and we add yeast to it. Now as the yeast begins to consume the sugar in the wort, it produces carbon dioxide, and most importantly, alcohol. This is a process known as fermentation, where we produce a type of beer known as wash, as roughly 10% alcohol by volume. You have been to a brewery before. It's a similar process. But at Jameson, our goal is to make whiskey. Now, our ingredient is ready. We are now ready to move on to the second step, which is distillation. And up here, you will see 3 pots stew and 3 columns stew. Through repeated trials and failures, the Jameson developed our triple distillation process. And here is how it goes. Inside this first stew, we call this the wash stew. The wash that we make from our malted barley and malted barley is heated. And as the wash begins to boil, the vapors rising out from it are very high in alcohol, causing them to escape from the vent. These vapors are then processed through a condenser and returned as liquid. We then move on to the second stew. We do the same process. We call it the fifth stew for our second distillation. Now this distillate is getting there, but doesn't have the smoothness of Jameson wanted. Now Jameson found that when you distill 3 times, it makes the whiskey taste twice as smooth. And that brings us to our last one. Inside the spirit stew for our third distillation. Now by using this old-fashioned copper pot stew with our malted and unmalted barley, we've created what we know as a pot stew whiskey. And that is the quintessential style of Irish whiskey. However, as our ability is learned, we created a second type of whiskey, which is our malted barley and maize pot. Our grain whiskey is produced through a more modern and efficient process, known as continuous or column stew distillation. Now, on your station, you'll see 2 atomizers. These are the atomizers. So, wherever you're facing, the one on the right side contains the pot stew whiskey, and the one on the left side contains the grain whiskey. So now, sir, you that you're standing here, this is your right, this is your left. This is pot stew whiskey, grain whiskey. Pot stew, grain. Like, you understand? There's the pot stew whiskey, grain whiskey. Pot stew on the right, grain on the left. Yeah, pot stew on the right, grain on the left. Pot stew, grain whiskey. Now let's all pick up the card. Let's pick up some lemons and finishing of bourbon or sherry. This made the cars perfectly seasoned and ready to pass their personality onto our whiskey. The American seasoned oak has all sorts of wonderful notes to add to our whiskey. If you look at your station, you also see a cover with the bourbon sign. Open up the cover and smell the malt itself. Don't smell the inside. Yes, just the bourbon sign. Smell the inside. Yeah, smell the inside. Yeah, we are going to taste. Let's take it step by step so that you can enjoy it. Now, I want you guys to look at this glass very well. We call it tasting glass because it allows us to analyze the whiskey and let us know what we are really drinking. Now, I want you guys to swirl the glass around. The Jameson, let's swirl it around to open up the flavors and notes. Now let's bring it to our nose and smell it. If you're smelling, make sure you put your nose inside the whiskey to get the aromas and try to open your mouth to allow those flavors and notes pass through your nose and you can get them. What are we smelling? If you can't put the word to it, you can look around the table, try to analyze what flavors and notes